Welcome to the second episode of Professional Mindset, sir.
Thank you.
So today we have Professor Seetha B, who is affiliated in Jain University, and his research area is behavioral finance and financial planning and wealth management, and we can see also professional financing. So we will be diving directly to the topic of financial planning and wealth management, which is his core area, and we will be learning and getting knowledge about how we can personalize our financing and how we can manage our wealth for future references. So thank you, sir, for joining.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. So, see, most of the people will be committing very simple mistakes related to their financial planning and their investment activities. So, as part of the process, what happens usually is most of the time we will not be considering certain basic items like how much do we need to spend, how much do we need to save on regular basis, and how much do we need to keep aside for long term requirements, so which can be used for either savings purposes or for investment activity purpose.
True,
So based on the financial goals of the individuals, it will be changing.
true, sir.
So there are certain parameters like risk appetite of the individual, then the expected rates of returns of the individual. So these aspects will determine
Never
the
mind.
portfolio of an individual.
Okay.
And
Regarding this, it's a general questions from public. Obviously,
yeah,
these
please,
questions
please.
are facing by my kind of people who are now earning, and then people who are in age of 40 or 50. Even they are lacking on financial planning. Obviously, we have seen many people. So going forward, so my question is, what are the most common mistakes people make when it comes to financial planning and wealth management?
Yeah, usually you don't take into consideration certain factors like demographics of the individual, such as the number of earning individuals in the family, then how many people are surviving on him. So obviously it will give the solution for that. So when it comes to a single earning member family with the dependents of let us suppose three people or five people,
Okay.
so obviously it will change. So earning individuals age will also matters here, then
Okay.
gender of the individual will also matter in the investment activity.
True.
So it is already observed in the real market scenario that male are more risk prone than compared to female investors. So because of which what happens, most of the male they will be selecting investment options without considering the risk element involved, which may result into the losses in the long run.
Okay.
So female are considered to be more conservative with respect to risk element. That's why they will be mainly selecting investment options that will be yielding very low or nominal rates of returns. So what we need to do in the selection process, we need to strike a balance between the risk and the returns earned by the individuals. For
Okay.
that, the factors that need to be considered are the interest rates that are prevailing in the market, then the individual's consumption patterns. For example, if I am a 40-year-old individual making an income of some 50,000 rupees, so it is said that a minimum 30% must be kept aside for savings purposes. So as the
Okay.
age grows, so our requirements will be increasing. So my suggestion is that when you are young, you save more money. So 50% rather 30%, even though the equation says you save 50% in the young age. So only consume the remaining 50 percentage. So out of this 50 percentage, what you can do, you can make use of constructing your portfolio with nominal rates of returns which are having nominal risk element, moderate returns based investment options with moderate risk element, and high risk based investment options.
Okay.
So most of the time, government investment options are considered to be nominal or low risk based investment options.
Okay.
So when it comes to the investment patterns, if the interest rates are on par with the inflation rate, this
Okay.
is another factor that we need to take into consideration. For example, the present inflation rate prevailing is around 6.4 percentage.
Yes.
If any investment option is not earning minimum of 6.5 percentage, our investment is not worth making.
True.
So what we are supposed to do, consider the inflation rate that is prevailing. Change your portfolio from time to time based on the inflation rate prevailing. So I mentioned that an individual's risk appetite, an
Okay.
individual's expected rates of returns,
Yes.
because every individual will have certain target that by the end of the year I need to make so and so percentage in the form of returns.
Yes.
So if the returns are nominal in the market, you are expected to come out of that particular investment option and make investment elsewhere.
Okay.
So how can you do that? What is the parameter to determine that? So
Yes.
inflation rate, the common parameter that we come across on daily basis is inflation rate. So if the inflation is increasing, obviously starting from vegetables prices, starting from oil prices that we consume on daily basis,
Yes.
to large scale items like such as once in a year or once in a lifetime purchases, including the car or a house, they'll get affected. So interest rate is one, inflation rate is the second one. These two parameters must be observed on every quarter basis or at least on fortnight or monthly basis.
Okay. True, sir. Definitely, the risk appetite, and then the interest rate, and we have to balance with inflation rate. Definitely, sir. So as you have mentioned about risk appetite of the people, so how can someone determine their risk tolerance?
That's what the number of dependents preliminarily, number of earning individuals in the family, age group of the individuals in the family.
Okay.
For example, I have two kids in family who are going to school. I
Yes.
need to save a little more for their future educational requirements.
Yes.
I have, along with my two kids, let us suppose I have my parents are dependent on me.
Okay.
Then the medical requirements of the elderly people will also play the role. So
Yes.
what happens? The number of family members, number of earning individuals, number of dependents, number of contributors. Like if I am the lone earning individual, so my consumption will be more. In the sense, my consumption of money will be more, and the savings part will be lesser
Lesser.
compared to a family where my spouse is also supporting me
Yeah,
with
true.
some income. Then obviously my savings rate will increase.
Mm.
So these are the minimum common parameters that every individual has to cross verify.
Okay. So we know the how what kind of mistakes people does, and how they can find out their risk
Right.
tolerance.
The common mistake that I observed over a period of time is not planning for the financial goals of the individuals.
Yes, the destiny,
Because
where they want to go.
yes,
Yes.
we will have short-term financial goals, medium-term financial goals, and long-term financial goals. Say, for example, if I wanted to go for a movie with my family members,
Yes.
so that will be categorized as a short term financial goal.
Yes.
So, how much money do I need?
Yes.
So, for going out, how much money do I need? I need to plan in advance.
Okay.
So, then it comes to medium term financial goals. So medium term financial goals like buying a car or a two wheeler or a four wheeler, whatever it is.
Okay.
So the volume of money required for me or educational financial goals. Usually, educational financial goals can be categorized as both medium term and long term.
Long term.
Because if I'm if I start planning early, when my kid is in first class, if I start planning for my kids post 12th class related cash requirements or
Yeah.
educational fee requirements, so you'll have ample time. Then you can categorize it as long term financial goal. But in
Yes.
case if I have only my already my kid is in 10th or plus 1 or plus 2 level, then obviously it will become a short term financial goal for me.
Okay.
So this is where people make mistake that they won't plan or they won't initiate planning for their kids' educational requirements the moment a kid is born.
Okay.
So that's why we have today a lot of insurance policy schemes.
Yes.
So they can be used by the individuals for the kids' future educational requirements. You buy insurance policy now itself,
Yes. True.
or else you make investment in medium returns yielding mutual funds starting from now itself for a period of let us suppose 15 years.
Okay.
So systematic investment plan SIP process can be
Okay.
done by the individual at
Okay.
this phase.
You have mentioned about the short term financial goals and long term financial goals. Okay. So related to this, so how people can manage their short term needs and long term financial goals?
The yeah, see, out of the savings made by the individuals for the short term consumptional requirements, one more point that I will mention here is that a minimum of a 3 months salary or 3 months equivalent expenditure, the budget that you prepare, out of the budget that you prepare, consider minimum 3 months equivalent money and keep it as a reserve money for your short term financial requirements. So usually we suggest for going up to maximum of 6 months. So 3 to 6 months money, make use of this money to keep aside as a savings only, not as investment. Don't use this money for investment purposes. So let that savings earn nominal returns only. There is no problem. Because today we have multiple investment options, such as even the government fixed deposits, or I mean banks fixed deposits also. You can encash whenever you want it. So, but don't forget to remember that it has to cover for your inflation. So that's why what you are expected is make it in the form of a fixed deposit that yields nominal returns, and at the same time that amount has to be made available for meeting your very short term to short term financial requirements. So for example, so I'm hospitalized tonight, so I should be able to convert my fixed deposit into cash immediately. So with the net banking process, you can cancel your fixed deposit and instant credit will be there by the bankers. So what happens, the banker, I mean you have that much amount for your emergency requirements. So an emergency fund can be maintained by the individuals. So that emergency fund is expected to be equivalent to 3 months to 6 months budgeted expenditure.
Yes.
Contingencies are different. Contingencies you can add some 10 percentage. If elderly people are more at home, add 25% of your expenditure, their medical expenses that you are meeting on regular basis. So 25% of the minimum medical expenditure has to be kept as contingency for their requirements. So in this way, actually you can balance between the savings for consumptional needs, then separate this particular savings. This has to be part of your consumptional requirements only. So out of 100 rupees of your income, you are not expected to plan for your consumption first. You are expected to plan for your savings first. So I mentioned 30% of the income has to be saved from the beginning. So separate 30 percentage of your amount. So you still have 70 percentage of your earnings. Out of this 70 percentage, whatever the short-term savings, short-term requirements are there. I mentioned that 6 months budgeted expenditures are needed to be formulated. Then 25% of your medical expenses, present medical expenses, have to form part of your contingency. This together has to form part of your the short-term financial goal to meet your short-term financial goal. Then only you are expected to consume for the current month. See, this looks more bookish, please understand.
Yes.
But the reality is very simple. With the growing inflation, if somebody is not planning for their long term and medium term, short term financial requirements, and if they don't keep aside the savings first, then obviously they'll end up in loans from banks and financial institutions paying only
Interest.
interest, paying only EMIs and interest. So loans are actually very costly. It looks like that the availability of loan is simple, but loan is a very costly affair to low income and medium income individuals. So
Okay.
your medium income, let us suppose if somebody has 1 lakh rupees of income, then obviously we can consider that that individual can sustain the EMI component. But today we are buying almost every item on EMI basis, on installment basis. So obviously they will eat away a major portion of your cash inflow incomes. So especially when it comes to single earning individual families, my suggestion is that you are expected to save first and spend later.
Okay.
Even if
So
there are two or more than two individuals earning, my suggestion is you consume only one particular individual's income as your expenditure, and rest of the other individual's income you make it as either savings or investment. This is
yeah,
my suggestion.
true, sir. Obviously. So moving forward, sir, let's come to the reality. Like there are lots of people in, like we have seen other people, like they suddenly they have access of lump sum of money, and then what advice you want to give those kind of people, like how they can manage it, like.
See, if somebody gets a lottery, or if
Yes.
somebody makes money from their ancestral properties,
True.
so obviously what happens,
Somebody
they'll be
gets from, like somebody get high pay of job like suddenly, like by
highly
switching
paid
off,
job.
yeah.
So
Yes.
for them, see, for an employee, actually, the chances of making use of that money in the form of investment or saving, they won't find that much time. So obviously,
Yes.
they are expected to consult a financial advisor
Yes.
or a wealth planner.
True.
For keeping the general circumstance in mind, out of the blue moon, if somebody gets money, the basic suggestion is, if you are able to plan for your, don't expend it, plan for your money. The very first thing is certain investment options. Don't save it, make it as an investment, because the same individual will be making incomes for his survival as of now as well. So
Yes.
don't spend the money that you receive as an additional money. So this is one more point. If somebody gets, you mentioned that somebody gets increment or somebody gets promoted to a higher level, and suddenly they are getting, earlier they were getting 1 lakh, and now let us suppose they are getting double the salary. Then what should they do? So
Yes.
such people, my suggestion is very simple. You keep your expenditure as it is. Whatever the additional money that you are making, don't save it. You make it as an investment. That additional investment should be and is expected to be for minimum medium term or else long term. It should not be for short term, because short term returns are always high tax attraction investments. So if you invest for long term or very long term, that means long term implies minimum 10 years that we anticipate, then more than 10 years, 15 years or 20 years or so, like retirement planning, then it is very long term for the individual. Then you make it as an investment. Buy gold in the form of either physical, if you can save it properly, or else today we have virtual gold as investment. Virtual gold is on par with physical and more secured. Or else, if somebody has already a house, then you don't go for another house. It's waste of investment. You migrate your investments to mutual funds, which are moderate risk based investment options. So if you are a risk taker, then you can move towards stock, equities, invest in stock market. And today governments are giving a lot of tax swaps. Physical fiscal advantage is also available for the individuals. So that fiscal advantage you can make use of by investing on stocks as well for long term and very long term period.
Yes, sir. So, what kind of feedback you want to give me, like people like me,
Hmm.
like who are in younger
Youngsters.
generation, youngsters, and who have started earning?
Hmm.
Uh, at this age, do I have to look for the multiple income source, or do I have to look for the future goals, the things? What you suggest?
See, you are supposed to be equipped with. That's
Okay,
what the whole idea is. When you are young, you need to gain more knowledge, you need to gain more qualification so that you can make use of your knowledge, skills, and qualification, which will be earning returns permanently. I'm not
okay,
using the word long term, I'm using the word permanent. So, you mentioned that multiple sources of income. When you are young, if you look for multiple sources of income alone without looking at the skills acquired, it won't be for long term, it won't sustain.
true.
So what you are expected to do, you gain skills, you gain the minimum required qualification to reach to the top positions in the market, in the industry that you had selected. Then you look for multiple sources of income. By default, it will start generating if you have skill. So what will happen, you make investment, but at the same time, whatever the source of income that you have, when somebody is young, my suggestion is that 50% of their income has to be saved and
Okay,
invested. Savings is not the end of the process, please remember. You make savings doesn't make any sense. You are supposed to make investment, save and make investment.
investment.
So 50% has to be your target. Only the remaining 50% you can plan for your emergency requirements, then your consumptional requirements. So once you have your own family, by that time you are expected to have the today's goals, are financial goals are changing, financial plans are changing, financial requirements are changing. By the time somebody gets married, they wanted to have a house, a four wheeler. So obviously your financial goal has to be set accordingly, medium term, long term.
Long term. Yes,
So by the time you reach 30, you should be owner of the house,
true.
which is not mortgaged or hypothecated. You should be owner of a four wheeler, which is not hypothecated. So that makes the difference.
True, sir. Thank you, sir, once again for joining us. And
Thank you. It's an honor for me. I'm honored. Thank you.
Obviously, people will find something from your thoughts, sir, as you are a researcher in this and you have published many journals in international levels. So once again, thank you, sir. Namaskaram, sir.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank
Good
you so
night.
much, sir.